Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining me on the Money Girl podcast. My name is Laura Adams. I'm a personal finance expert and author who loves helping you stay on top of your finances and get your questions answered. Why? Well, we all work really hard for what we have, and if you're like me, and I know you are, your finances are extremely important to you. So this show is about helping you understand important topics and giving you actionable steps to take so you can live rich and love the journey. I want to thank all of our new subscribers. You are sharing the show on social media, telling your friends, and submitting reviews on iTunes. It means so much to me. Thank you. And if you're not sure how to submit a review from your phone on iTunes, I'll tell you how to do it at the end of the show. This episode is about having an authorized user on a credit card account, or being an authorized user on someone else's card. So this show is for you if you have a credit card, and it's also for you if you don't have a credit card. Maybe you're just starting out and you're just getting started building credit, or maybe you hit a financial rough patch and you're working on rebuilding your credit right now. One strategy is to become an authorized user. But you need to fully understand what that is and how it can affect your credit for good and bad, and easy ways to protect yourself. So that's what we're going to cover today. So let's dive right in. I'll start out by telling you exactly what a credit card authorized user is. It's someone who a card owner adds to his or her account. The user has permission to have a card in their name and to make charges. Now, unlike with a joint account owner, an authorized user is not responsible for repayment of any amount of debt on the account. That means if you're only an authorized user, let's say on your ex-girlfriend's account, you're not responsible for any amount of debt on the card. However, marriage can complicate the issue depending on where you live. In community property states, creditors can go after both spouses for debt incurred by either of you after marriage, no matter if you're a joint owner or an authorized user on a credit card. There are 9 community property states. They include Arizona, California, Idaho, Louisiana, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, Washington, and Wisconsin. And Alaska is an opt-in state because it gives both spouses the option to make their property community property if they like. A common situation for adding a partner or spouse as an authorized user is when one of you has good credit, but the other one doesn't and can't qualify for a credit card. You could get a card that's in your name and add him or her to your account as an authorized user. Another good reason to add a user is when you have a teenager or a college student who is still a dependent. The young person receives a card to use for planned purchases or just to stay safe during unexpected emergencies, like getting into car trouble or being caught without enough cash far away from home. While it seems simple for an account owner to just give a credit card to an authorized user, like a child or spouse, how it affects both of your credit reports is where things can get a little confusing, and I often get questions about this. Whenever you have an authorized user on your credit card, the account information and all activity shows up on both of your credit reports. If you've had a card for a while and add a user, your entire back history does not get reported on their account, just the activity that occurs after you add him or her to your account. Now, some people worry about adding an authorized user if they have a bad credit history. So if someone you add has been, let's say, through a bankruptcy, maybe they have accounts in collection or late payments, that will not affect your credit as the card owner in any way. So let me be clear, the credit histories of a card owner and an authorized user are completely separate. They don't get combined. The only change will be the addition of the authorized user credit card account to his or her credit history. As I mentioned, if you're the card holder, you typically bear all the responsibility of paying the account. It doesn't matter if the authorized user goes on a huge spending spree that you didn't agree to. In most cases, you'll be on the hook for 100% of the bill. Having unexpected charges on your account could really hurt your finances and credit, especially if you can't afford to pay the bill on time, or if new charges cause your credit utilization to suddenly go through the roof. Now, if you're not sure exactly what I'm talking about with credit utilization, I would encourage you to go back and listen to podcast number 270. It's called Credit Utilization, What It Means for Your Credit Score. I go really in depth into that there, so you'll get a much better explanation. But one tip for card owners is to regulate the credit limit for an authorized user. A nifty feature of most cards is that you can assign a limit for an authorized user that's less than your own. For instance, let's say you have a $10,000 credit limit. You could add your college-bound son as an authorized user with just a $500 credit limit. Remember that you're in charge as the account owner. You can increase or decrease the limit any way you like. And if the user doesn't follow your rules for using the card, well, you can simply drop them from the account at any time. Again, the main risk you face as a cardholder with an authorized user is that the user will abuse the privilege and make charges that you can't afford, which could hurt your credit. Now, let's discuss the flip side, which is how the behavior of a card owner affects you when you're the authorized user. Okay, here's how the behavior of a card owner affects you if you're an authorized user. As I mentioned, the card's account activity shows up on your credit report, as long as the card company reports it to the credit bureaus. Now, that could be a dream come true or a real nightmare, depending on how responsible the card owner is. Positive information like on-time payments gets reported to each of your credit reports. That's why being an authorized user is a smart strategy to build credit. Typically, it allows you to ride the coattails of someone else's good financial behavior. I say typically because your credit report shows that you're an authorized user and not the account owner. In some cases, creditors may give the account less weight or none at all because they know that you may not be responsible for the debt on the account. Nonetheless, it can still be a great first step in establishing a credit history and building credit so you can eventually qualify for your own accounts. Likewise, irresponsible behavior that hurts a card owner's credit generally also hurts an authorized user's credit. However, one of the major credit bureaus, Experian, says they don't allow negative information to be reported on an authorized user's account. So, whether being an authorized user can help you build credit depends on a few things. The first is whether the credit card company reports account information to the credit bureaus in the name of authorized users in the first place, and most of the big ones do. It also depends on whether a creditor or the credit scoring model they use factors in account information for authorized users, and it depends on whether the card owner is being responsible with how they use the account. As an authorized user, what's really important for you to understand is that if a card owner starts paying late or maxing out the account, you can take steps to protect your credit. Never, ever allow a card holder's negative history to drag down your credit. One way to protect yourself is to contact the card holder or the credit card company directly and ask to be removed as a user on the account. Unless you're married and live in a community property state, as I mentioned, creditors will typically remove you if you request it. Here's another way. You can remove the user account from your credit report by disputing it with each of the credit bureaus that reports it. Again, state law and your relationship with the card owner will come into play. But an authorized user account with negative information could disappear from your credit files in as few as 30 to 60 days after you dispute it. As you can guess, knowing whether a card owner is managing his or her account responsibly is completely up to you. So, how do you do it? Well, it's pretty simple. Just watch your own credit reports carefully for red flags, like late payments and high balances. Anything negative related to that account will hurt your credit if you don't take action. Of course, you should review your credit reports on a regular basis, even if you're not an authorized user. You can get a free report every 12 months from each of the 3 nationwide credit bureaus at annualcreditreport.com, and the three bureaus are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. There are also some really great free sites where you can get at least one of your credit reports and your scores for free. These include Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, My Bankrate, and Quizzle. Having an authorized user on your credit card is a great way to give someone access to your credit line for everyday purchases or just unforeseen emergencies. It also allows you to teach someone, like a teen, about how to use a credit card responsibly. You'll be able to see when, where, and how much a user spends by viewing transactions online or reviewing your monthly statement. If both parties manage their cards responsibly, having or being an authorized user can be a smart and beneficial financial relationship. Thanks so much for listening today. If you want to find me on Twitter, my handle is @LauraAdams, LauraAdams with no space. Send me your question or comment anytime. Also, I want to invite you to join my private Facebook group called Dominate Your Debt. It's a great place to keep the conversation going with a very smart group of like-minded people who are doing exactly what you're doing. They're building credit, paying down debt, investing, and reaching for big financial goals. To request your invitation, visit Dominate Your Debt on Facebook, or you can send me a text message and I'll send you an invitation right now. Just text Group 400, that's Group 400, to the number 33444. I hope to see you in the group. And I mentioned that I'd share with you how to leave a rating or review on iTunes from your iPhone or iPad. Here's what you do. The first thing is to launch Apple's podcast app. That's the purple icon that comes pre-installed on your iPhone or your iPad. Then tap the search tab, that's at the bottom. Then enter Money Girl in the search bar at the top. Then tap the album art for the podcast at the bottom. Tap the Reviews tab. Tap Write a Review. Enter your iTunes password and log in. Then tap the stars to leave a rating. I hope you'll give us 5. And then enter title, text, and content to leave a review and tap send. It's that simple. Thanks so much for leaving a review. It means so much to me. That's all for now. I'll talk to you next week, courtesy of Money Girl, your guide to a richer life.